This is a PESTLE analysis of Sexton's Music and Games, a follow-up presentation to my recent SWOT analysis. This screencast has been prepared by me, Christian Witt, for my ENT 610 Entrepreneurial Creation class at Western Carolina University. A PESTLE analysis is a strategic framework for understanding external influences on a business. PESTLE stands for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental. These are macro-environmental factors that affect strategic planning for a business. By understanding these external environments, businesses can maximize their opportunities and minimize threats to their organizations. Fortunately, Sexton's Music and Games is not too embroiled in politics, and the reason for that is because most of the political implications in the gaming industry are related to gambling machines. However, there are a couple issues that they must keep their eye on, such as overtaxation and overregulation. Sexton's Music and Games is one of hundreds of members of the Amusement and Music Operators Association, also known as AMOA. They provide legislative advocacy in Washington to help combat regulation and undue burden placed on predominantly small businesses that operate in this industry. Most states have legislation on the books dictating licensing fees for the operation of amusement games, and South Carolina and North Carolina are no different. However, Sexton's Music and Games does need to stay on top of the current fees and requirements, as they change a lot of times without notice. The two main economic factors affecting Sexton's Music and Games is their reliance on other businesses as well as their reliance on the availability of disposable income. Because the company operates within already existing brick-and-mortar establishments such as restaurants and bars, the success of Sexton's Music and Games is reliant on that of those other businesses. Games and amusements are not a necessity, and so therefore the business also relies on people having disposable income to be able to use to play our games and use our equipment. And so this is another economic factor that greatly affects the business and its performance. Two social factors that affect Sexton's Music and Games are their key demographics of the various locations that they serve, and also marketing and advertising. Business owners really have to be strategic when making decisions about what kind of equipment they want in their establishments in order to ensure that it's a good fit with their key demographics. And so, for example, people at the Moose Lodge are not going to want the same kinds of games that people at Asheville Pizza and Brewing are going to want, or the Beer Garden in downtown Asheville. So those are definitely some things to think about. Marketing and advertising is another social factor the business is going to have to contend with. Right now there really is none. There is a website and a Facebook page, but they're not managed very frequently, and so that is going to be something that we're really going to have to think about in terms of what kind of strategies we're going to use to achieve the kind of brand recognition that we want. Currently, there are three key technological issues affecting the business. First, new games are constantly being produced. Second, sometimes there's difficulty obtaining parts for older games. And third, we're probably going to have to look at adopting new business software if we're going to be serious about being efficient as we move forward. So, amusements are just like any other technology. There's always new updated technology coming out, and the problem with amusements is that a lot of the new equipment is really expensive. You're talking thousands and thousands of dollars for one machine, and so sometimes being able to stay up to date and to be able to provide what your customers want can be challenging when the cost is so high. Vintage and classic games are in hot demand right now, but the issue with those is that they require restoration and upkeep, and they use parts that a lot of times are not available on the market anymore. So sometimes you have to go through third-party sellers such as Craigslist, or buying rundown games just for parts and things like that. Lastly, business software is something that we're going to have to look at revising. Right now, all of the checkups that are done are on paper, which means that each time we go into a location and collect the money out of it, it's documented on paper as opposed to a computerized system, and that is just becoming more and more inefficient. So new business software is definitely on the horizon. For now, there are really no legal implications to discuss as they relate to the business that wasn't already mentioned previously in the politics section, where I talked about certain regulatory and licensing requirements on the gaming industry. So as of now, there's really nothing on the horizon that seems problematic. We don't foresee games being outlawed anytime soon. Sexton's Music and Games fully supports the movement to address environmental issues such as climate change. We've made our own progress towards improving our energy efficiency as well as repurposing existing equipment so not as much of it goes to waste. The company has made a couple efforts to help improve their energy efficiency. One way is by replacing some of the old tube screens with LED ones, which are much more efficient. Also, pinball machines a lot of times use hundreds of light bulbs. We've also been able to use LED bulbs for those as well. So we're making progress in the right direction. Another positive environmental impact we've made is to make a conscious effort to repurpose existing equipment. A lot of old machines that perhaps are not working anymore can actually be retrofitted and transformed into new, really cool games. And so there's no reason to get rid of things that can be reused or repurposed, and we've taken that to heart. Thank you for viewing my PESTLE Analysis screencast for Sexton's Music and Games. I hope I've done an accurate job of capturing the concepts behind PESTLE. Again, thank you, and cheers.